Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video, I'm talking a little bit about Retribution Paladins, specifically about the new legendary power, Divine Resonance. Why do a video now about Divine Resonance? There's multiple reasons. One, this could end up being your best single target legendary for 9.1. Still waiting on simulations for that, but it definitely could be the case. It's going to be close with Final Verdict either way, so we'll see who reigns supreme for single target, but it very well could be Divine Resonance. The other reason would be because of with domination gear coming and sockets and legendaries and stuff like that, crafting this as your waste would be the way to go. So if you did want to buy a waste piece, waste also works with the AoE legendary Tempest. It also works with Mad Paragon as well. So waste is a good kind of thing to have either way. So you might want to get a base waste item to craft this legendary just in case it ends up being the best one, or just in case for later on, if you're able to use two legendaries, using this Divine Resonance with Magistrate's Judgment could be quite the potent combo if the judgments from Divine Resonance count as a judgment for the Magistrate's Judgment, in which case it would be pretty much double dipping on on the powers there, and very, very good synergy. So it could be a very important legendary to craft. It could be a very important legendary to keep an eye on. And when these simulations come out within the next week or so or less, we may see this become the king for single target. We will see. This is, of course, presuming that Kyrian remains the number one covenant and pretty much the only choice for Ret Paladin. Most people do believe that will be the case. Some people are hoping other things are the case, and I'd be fine with changing, honestly. But it does appear to be because of how well the Pelagos, especially Soulbind, works with the 1 minute cooldown and into our execution sentence, 1 minute cooldowns, I should say. Because of that, it appears that Kyrian will probably end up being the best. But we will wait for the simulations before we make any kind of proclamations and official guide video for Ret 9.1. We will wait for the simulations, like all good people should, when it comes to making proclamations, at least. So let's show real quick what this legendary does a little bit better. Let's go over to a training dummy and go ahead and cast Divine Toll. And what you'll immediately see is I now have a buff called Divine Resonance. And when it gets to 25 here, I'm going to cast a Judgment. And then, so that gives me one holy power, of course. And then at 20 seconds, I'm going to cast another Judgment. Gives me a holy power. And then at 15 seconds, another one. So all of these are empowered Templar's Verdicts that I'm doing via this Divine Resonance buff. And you'll see, I just did it there, but you'll be able to sneak in some of your own judgments as well, which is nice. And so you'll actually get, you won't only get a 6 empowered verdicts in that 30 seconds. You might get, I've gotten 8. I'm sure you could get 9. You could probably actually math it out. Of course, procs matter as well, but you can get quite a few empowered Templar's Verdicts in there, which is always really nice to do. Which why it also could it could actually work really well later on with Final Verdict as well, instead of Magistrate's Judgment. There's some very possible good, really, really good synergies with this, because Judgment, is an important spell for Ret, and this is just casting free judgments. So naturally, it kind of works with everything. What's another little cool thing about Divine Resonance is if you're ringing clarity now, as we upgrade our conduits, ringing clarity is going to proc, by the end of the expansion, probably nearly 100% of the time, if not 100% of the time. I think it goes up to like 80% in 9.1 at the max conduit rank, something like that. So it's going to proc nearly every time. But let's say it doesn't proc. With this Divine Resonance, you actually should be able to get in a full powered execution sentence, even if you didn't get the proc. So full power being a relative term, because it doesn't have all those extra judgments into it. But I mean full powered as far as having your max Templar Verdicts into it. I guess max Templar Verdicts is a little bit misleading as well, because during heroism and stuff like that, you can get extra stuff in. But if you say in general, I get 3 Templar's Verdicts into my execution sentence, you will be able to do that even without getting procs on your Ringing Clarity. So maybe that's a better way to say it there. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this legendary. I really enjoy it. It's fun to play because of that interaction where it lasts 30 seconds. Basically, for 50% of the fight, you're very aware of what's going on. You know, if you liked keeping Inquisition up back in when we used Inquisition, it's not like that, I guess. It's a completely different buff. But you are managing it. You're making sure you're not overcapping your holy power. What I was doing was I was never going past 4. And then that way when it would randomly hit, I would only ever go to 5, and I was just doing a normal thing. What I think is actually better to do is literally to either have a weak aura, which I'm sure somebody will make, or get the timing down, which I pretty much have the timing down already. And just know that you have a judgment coming within the next second or so. And so just hold off, wait for that judgment, go ahead and go. If you have a blade ready right after that, go ahead and blade judgment, go ahead and Templar's Verdict again, and then your next one will get the free judgment on it. And you'll kind of just get the timing of this on as you go. Another good thing to note is when it regards to your actual burst rotation using your execution sentence. So let's say you have your wings up during your opener. Instead of casting judgment, a lot of times I like with Final Verdict, for example, my last spell I cast into my final Templar's Verdict or Final Verdict is judgment. So instead of doing that, it actually times out perfectly to where instead of where I would normally go judgment, Templar's Verdict, I'm actually Hammer of Wrathing. The judgment is proccing still while the execution sentence is falling. And then I'm Templar's Verdicting, and I'm starting at 1 holy power then as well, and casting it from 4 instead of 3. So it's actually a really nice thing there, a really nice interaction there. And I'm sure there's more of these that I haven't even found yet. I've only done so much testing. It's very limited, obviously. And I've only done so much. So there's a lot more to learn, of course. But this legendary, again, the biggest point of this is just to know that this legendary might be your best one. It wouldn't hurt to get, if you have the goal to do it, to get a rank 4 or whatever Shadowgas Waste Guard to go ahead and be ready to craft this legendary. You know, like I said, it also works for your Tempest and for your Mad Paragon as well. So Waste is kind of a good slot for Rat in general. But yeah, this is a legendary to keep your eye on. When the actual sims come out, I of course will have a 9.1 Rat guide. There should be, it could range from a lot of changes, including possibly using a different soulbind if this one is powerful for Rat. I don't think that'll be the case, even though it's very powerful for Monk. The changes, I think we'll probably stick with Pelagos, but it could change there. We could change legendaries, and you know that does kind of change your rotation a little bit as well, especially for that 30 seconds while Divine Resonance is on you as a buff. So could have a lot to talk about there. But wanted to get that video out for any of the Rats that are interested in knowing what to do for 9.1. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel because it helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.